talk about today in this first of a series of videos, which I'm going to be kind of exploring a variety of things in our lives that hopefully we can utilize to experience change, to grow. Whether that be in your nutrition and diet, whether that be in your training program, or whether that just be in your day-to-day life. I think these skills kind of all transfer over into each other. They bleed into each other. So I think embracing these things can really help you in a lot of other areas. So the first thing I want to talk about is kind of the basis for where I try to set myself, and that is this idea of a white belt mentality or a beginner's mind. Now, the idea of this is really that no matter where we are on our journey, if we approach the world with this idea of being a novel beginner, think about when you started something new and how everything that happens seems to be this revelation. You kind of grow. You feel this like elation. You're so blown away at every little thing you see. For me in jiu-jitsu, it's constantly like that. You know, anytime someone shows me something new, a new sequence, something, oh wow, I had no idea that you could do that. I had no idea that would be such a good transition, or wow, that makes sense because I do this and that leads right to this. You know, a lot of times, even though there's not a lot of new wow moments within maybe the mechanisms of things that happen in nutrition, like a new study might come out that tells us something that we kind of already know, but the mechanisms of how that happens might be something new. And for me, it opens up this world of possibilities. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. You know, seeing some experiments that friends have been doing in order to drive weight loss with clients while not changing caloric input through utilizing you know, external force and different variations of exercise has been really eye-opening. It's really changed the way I think about a lot of things, which is that, you know, if I had approached this as like someone who knows something or any, it probably wouldn't affect me the same way, and it probably wouldn't drive that passion. And I think that's where the importance lies, is by approaching as a beginner, we're really able to stoke those fires of passion. You know, when someone starts a new nutrition plan, when someone's going to lose weight, the first 4 weeks, they're just running on adrenaline. They're so excited. They're ready to make this change. You know, a lot of times we'll see some overzealousness where someone might come in and say, "Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. I want to bury my calories. I want to work out 6 days a week. I'm going to do cardio before bed." And I say, whoa, let's slow it down. We got plenty of time to add things in. I appreciate your passion, your excitement, but that's a quick way to get burnt out. Whereas instead we can, you know, approach this and say like, hey, let's try these things. And wow, whoa, that worked. It was great, right? That I'm really excited to try more. And we can hopefully extend that period from the first week or two to the first month or two. And then, you know, eventually to a year. And what happens is over time, things that aren't necessarily very exciting become very exciting, because we see that the fruits of our labor aren't just what we were looking for in results, but they're also just making us a better person. They're making us a happier person. And I think that's really where the crux of this stuff lies, is how do we become the person that we want to be versus the image of what we have. Look at someone you admire, someone that you find aspirational. You know, like someone, I think he seems like such a good guy, and he gives back to someone like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, right? Big jack dude, works out, trains hard, works his tail off, you know, all over has 800 movies coming out, none of which are good movies that I actually ever want to see, but I still want to support this guy. Like, he just seems like the greatest guy in the world. His movies look terrible to me. but I'll probably still watch them when they come on, if they're on HBO or whatever, because I like him. I will buy his product because I like him and I like what he does, and he stops for fans. That guy is in love with the process. That's a guy who has toiled in the trenches for years, just doing work, and he's still doing work. He's the biggest star in the world right now. And he's still working his tail off because he wakes up every day and he looks at this with that beginner's mind, with those wide eyes, like, holy crap, I'm getting on a private jet. This is crazy. You know, even though where he came from and where he is now are two totally different places, look at this guy's career arc. And it hasn't been overnight. You know, he ground that to trying to get football scholarship, you know? And then after football, he goes on and he starts wrestling, driving in cars from town to town, doing little shows. Wasn't really that well supported. So all of a sudden he says, hey, I'm gonna be a bad guy. He becomes a bad guy in wrestling. Gets huge. And then he becomes like the people's champ. Like he's like the guy that everyone's rooting for. And now, you know, he takes his time and stops his car to wave at a bus, you know, full of kids, and stops and says hi. You know, he's giving back to fans. He's in hospital. Like, he does those things because the guy loves the work. And how do you keep passion like that? You really have to look at it as a beginner every day. You know, how do you keep passion in the gym? Like, that guy looks better now than he did in his 20s. Because he just goes in and bangs it out day after day after day, doing the best he can. Hires the coaches that'll help him find his best, you know, look. Gets out of his comfort zone. You know, just this is that idea of change. Because change doesn't have to be a 12-week start and stop. And a lot of times I think we fall into that trap and say, my change is going to be predicated on what happens in this 12 weeks. That's where I'm going to change. And our change is mentally like, hey, I'm going to start at this weight and I'm going to end at this weight. That's going to be my big change. But it's never how it is. It's what happens in between. And so what I like to say to people is that goals aren't there for me. I don't really have any specific goals because I'm not competing in anything. In that case, it would be to win something, you know. But as a regular person, I don't have any of those specific goals. But what I do have is I have some kind of moving targets. My goals now are just mileposts in the path. You know, like people would, you know, I'd say to someone like, sometimes in vision, and I use happiness as kind of my quotient. Happiness to me isn't the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You know, it's the path as we search for that. And the cool thing about that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is as we get closer to it, it just moves further and further away. We're never going to reach it. But reaching it isn't really the goal. The goal for me is that path on the way. Because we learn so much about ourselves, and we learn so much about the process, and we learn so much about what we can become and who we can become. And to me, that's priceless. So the way that I can continue wanting to press on is never feeling like an expert, never feeling like I'm overly accomplished. Always listening, always paying attention, always striving to be open to new experience. And I think, you know, if we can tie this back into especially nutrition and training, if we're open to that, we're always able to grow. We never become stagnant. There's no such thing as stagnation when you're always new. You know, for me personally, a big thing for me in training has been this last year and a half, 2 years of embracing the fact that maybe what I was doing and what I had learned and what I had been focusing on were not the best things for me. They weren't the best things for my physical health. And I'd slowly started learning things about myself and saying, wait, I have to alter things to make this work. Why is that? And then I found the people around me that were already exploring this in a lot more in depth, and they were exploring it through a variety of different modalities, and were able to find a cohesive reason. And it made me question everything I was doing. And it made me say that there's a lot of things I was doing that might have been wrong. There's a lot of dogma that I believe that might have been wrong. And so it's just always questioning that and saying, am I doing what's best? And I found personally that I wasn't, and I've been able to fix things, and I've been able to change things, and I've been able to get better. I've been able to get healthier. So for me, that's been a really big eye-opening experience in training. In nutrition, there's a lot of things that have changed for me. It used to be that, if someone asked me today what I think the most important thing would be for someone who feels like they're stuck in weight loss, I'd say walk. Track it. If you'd asked me a few years ago what I thought about Fitbits and Garmin's or like things to track your steps, I'd say they're stupid. You're not just tracking what you're already doing doesn't make any sense. But now I know that I can increase that. Now I know that someone can take those things and they have quantifiable data. Now, if I was an expert, would I have learned that? Probably not. Because I'd been too closed off. I'd have been too set in my ways. I'd have been too interested in trying to further an agenda that I had, or to further my own bias. But because I was able to look at that with a fresh mind and open mind, I was able to say, you know what, I was wrong. I was wrong. And now I'm able to try that, and I'm able to give better information to my clients. So if you're ever feeling stuck in something you've been doing for a while, if you're ever feeling like you don't know how you can get past a certain point, ask yourself if you're looking at things with those fresh eyes. Ask yourself if you can go back to being a beginner, what that might look like. In anything, relationships, work, nutrition, training. It's all the same. All this stuff is all the same. We're just doing different things with it. So that's my thoughts on the weight belt mentality. That's how I've really helped myself become happier. I think I've helped some clients to kind of see that about themselves. And I think that it's a valuable tool in all of our lives. I think it's something we can definitely use. And so try it out. Let me know. Comment below if there's things that you found that have improved by looking at them with fresh eyes. All right? Have a great day. Talk to you soon.